Welcome, fellow horror hounds, and welcome to the latest episode of Talk and Stalk, your unholy home for horror. I'm your host, as always, Barry, and today's mini podcast is going to be me basically just ranking my top 10 Freddy Krueger lines. Now, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, released in 1984, is actually one of my favourite horror films of the 80s, and probably one of my favourite horror films of all time, in fact. And admittedly, I'll admit, the franchise as a whole, I really kind of started to lose interest with the Nightmare on Elm Street films after kind of like the fourth film onwards. And I actually feel as though Wes Craven's New Nightmare, released in 1994, is really underrated, in fact. I know it's probably the most divisive film in the franchise. I know some people love it, some people really don't care for it, but personally I think it was a great piece of postmodern horror and really quite inventive. Now, Freddy Krueger, obviously played by Robert Englund, the one and only. As the franchise went on, there wasn't really anything scary about Freddy Krueger anymore. He's undeniably a horror icon, and Robert Englund really cemented himself in the role. You could clearly see how much fun he had playing Freddy Krueger. As the franchise went on, I kind of missed the scare factor though, but it's undeniable that Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger had a lot of great lines, in fact, over the course of the franchise. And these are my personal favourites. This is my top 10. So, I'm going to start in at number 10 now. And this is a line that I love from Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And that's, "Hey, Dylan, ever play Skin the Cat?" I just love that. That was a very poor impression of Freddy Krueger, I realise. But I just love that. I love that line, and obviously, it's a really kind of sadistic death, which in a way kind of makes a callback to Tina's death in the original, being dragged up on the ceiling. And at number 9 comes from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, which, aside from Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which technically speaking isn't a sequel, is the best sequel in the franchise, in my opinion. I think most Nightmare fans would probably agree with that as well. And the line is, "What a rush." And this is actually when he kills Taryn, who's obviously, rehab, struggling drug addict. And, in number 8 spot comes from Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child, which I'm not actually a fan of, but there is actually a line in the film that I do really like, and that's, "Bon appetit, bitch." Where, of course, Greta is basically being force-fed to death. Now, at number 7 is actually from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, Dream Warriors. And that is "Wanna Suck Face?" Where, of course, the character, her name is actually escaping me, but she obviously has asthma, she has breathing problems, and Freddy sucks the life out of her. So at number 6 spot is "You're All My Children Now" from Freddy's Dead. Not Freddy's Dead. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. A movie that I'm not really a big fan of. I've certainly come to appreciate it more. I do like some of the dark elements that this film has. But I do love that line where he comes out. It's at the pool party. Obviously Freddy's coming to the real world here, and he says, "You're all my children now." I just, love that line. Now, here we kind of get into the top 5. Now, in the number 5 spot for me, from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, that accompanies Joey's death, and that is, "How's this for a wet dream?" Love it. They liked the line so much they actually reused it for the 2010 remake. We're obviously not going to go into that film, but great Freddy Krueger line. Now, in 4th spot, I actually love this line. It's, "Hey Nancy, no running in the hallway." Just, yeah, where Nancy is running down the hallway and she bumps into this girl with a striped sweater, and of course, anyone that would notice, it's Freddy Krueger's sweater, and as she's running off, Freddy Krueger's glove, but he's still in the guise of this girl, and yeah, just love that line. In third spot for me is a line. This was Freddy's first kind of proper introduction in the film, in fact. And he actually says it to Tina. Tina actually says, "Oh God, please God, this is God." I love it. There's just kind of a sadistic element to the original Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. This is really before he becomes kind of overly goofy as the franchise goes on. And I love that kind of sense of menace. This is God. Now, number 2 is from the original film as well. So basically, the last 3 lines are actually from the original movie. And the line in this, it's where she's on the telephone and he's obviously just killed Glenn, her boyfriend, and he says, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." And it's just, the added touch is the tongue coming through the phone, her getting licked by Freddy Krueger. It's a real surrealistic kind of out there moment. I love it. And number 1, I don't think this is really going to come to many people's surprise. Again, coming from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. This accompanies Jennifer's death, and of course it's "Welcome to primetime, bitch." And of course her head getting smashed through the TV. Great moment, great death, great line. And, I don't know how the hell anyone could expect that to be a suicide. I don't know how the hell she would have reached up there and been able to get her head through the TV and whatever. But great line, my personal favourite Freddy Krueger line over the course of the franchise. And that's pretty much it. That's all I really want to talk about. Just kind of a mini podcast today. Just wanted to kind of keep it short and sweet. There's a lot more lines that Freddy Krueger comes out with, certainly. But these are just my personal favourite top 10. So thanks a lot to everyone that listened, and I'll be back again soon to haunt you and torment you. And if you've liked what you've heard, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, Talk and Stalk. Thanks a lot. Take care.